Let's talk about maturity, being the bigger person, all of that sort of thing. And what brings this to mind is a comment that was left on my video where I'm talking about this last and most horrific date that I was on. So I am looking for love, I'm looking for my person, and I'm out there in the dating world. And yes, I'm using the apps and the whole 9 yards. Anyway, I went on a date and I kind of did a whole blow by blow of how the date began and unfolded and went and ended. And it started off okay, and then it ended up really not okay. And I'm doing this in real time. So I am processing still this date that I went on Thursday. I have to think, it's like dog years. And today it is Sunday. Um, it takes me some time to unpack things. I think it takes most people some time. But when you're a person who has complex PTSD, I think that we have delayed reactions until our nervous system, calms down to a point where we can really intellectualize something that struck an emotion. That being said, I made this video and it was to ghost or not to ghost, and I will link it in the description of this video so that you can watch it for more context. I don't want to go hugely into the date though. I want to go into the feedback that I got. And I did ask the question, already having handled it, already knowing what I was going to do and how I felt about it. But I like to see, maybe I got it wrong. I'm not a perfect person. And while I'm walking through life from the inside out, meaning how I feel about something is more important to me than what somebody else thinks I should feel or do, I am still open to other people's perspective because I don't know everything. And I'm learning and I'm growing just like everybody else is. So let's get into the comment, and then I want to address it from my perspective. I'm not saying that this person got it wrong or that they got it right. I just have a different perspective. Unless they make me feel unsafe, I am mature enough to not ghost and tell them why I am not interested. I have to tell you, if I was in a different place in my life where I have been, where I was less secure in what I know about myself and what I deserve and how I'm not willing to betray myself and things like that. If I was in the place where I'll go about 15 years ago, where I still felt very shaky about whether or not I was making good decisions, bad decisions, and measuring things and overthinking and all of that stuff, your comment might have triggered me. It might have made me feel like, oh, are you saying that my ghosting, I would have personalized it, means I'm not as mature as you? And I would have gone into a whole tailspin. And that's part of the reason I'm making this video, because I'm not going to take it that way. I'm not going to take it as you're saying that if I choose to ghost based on how I felt about what went down on this date, that I am somehow being immature or a lesser person, a smaller person. I can translate it into a million different things, which is probably what I would have done 15 years ago. But because I'm, inside out, it doesn't land that way. And I don't know what your true intentions are with that response. I don't know if you're being earnest, if you truly feel this way, or if you're one of those people who come onto my platform and it's a shot. I kind of feel like it's not. And one of the reasons is because you are one of, I hate the word followers, you're one of the members of the community. So that makes me feel like you really do feel this way. And like we all are, we feel what we feel, we're entitled to feel what we feel, your feelings are valid. I just want to give you another perspective because this triggered off a perspective for me. And it also highlighted something in my own behavior on this date that I'm going to pay more attention to in the future. I found another little trick that lets me know that things aren't going the way I think they're going, and to pay more attention. Okay, so now let's get into it a little bit deeper. Is ghosting immature? Is it really? I think there are times where it's appropriate just to cut somebody off and be done with it. And I certainly think that applies in going on a meet and greet or a date with somebody, and they not only don't respect you, but they go out of their way to disrespect you. I don't think giving them any more energy is a lack of maturity. I think it's a sign of maturity. I think it's a sign of emotional intelligence. I think it's a sign of how we value ourselves. I place a very high value on my energy and the love that I have for myself, which has taken years to grow to the point where I'm really unwilling to betray myself or abandon myself for someone else. Taking the time to respond to this guy to tell him why I felt the way I felt is not something he deserves. And the reason he doesn't deserve it is because he doesn't deserve my feelings. He doesn't deserve a piece of me, and my feelings are a piece of me. And that's just how I look at it. So that being said, what I'm trying to articulate here, and I hope I'm doing it fairly well, is that I'm just not willing to serve somebody else. And I wouldn't want to tie feeling a lack of safety in with being allowed to take a certain action. I don't think it should have to get to a point where I feel unsafe and then I'm justified in disconnecting from somebody by not giving them any more feedback. I don't really like the word ghost. I just cut him off. I really don't like that because I feel like that's an incredibly low bar, a low standard. He didn't make me feel unsafe. He made me feel disrespected, objectified, insulted. There's lots of other things that I felt, because he didn't make me do anything, as a result of his bad behavior. And I don't give good behavior to bad behavior. People often say, oh, meet people where they are. And I don't think that that's necessarily the best idea. I want to be where I am. And if somebody's kind to me, I'm going to be kind to them. If somebody's unkind to me, I'm probably still going to meet them with kindness because I don't want somebody to hijack my emotions and who I am in this world. That's why I don't want to meet somebody where they are in that way. In therapy practice, I meet people where they are, meaning wherever they are in their healing journey, I'm going to be there along with them, and I'm not pulling them in any direction. I'm still obviously, well, maybe not obviously, I'm always meeting people with kindness as much as humanly possible. Not at the cost of being kind to myself first, though. And it would be unkind to me to give this person any more of my time. He met the bar of what I feel is undeserving. And that is that he didn't treat me with basic human decency, let alone as a woman, treat me with respect. So I just kind of want you to think about this a little bit differently and unpack it and look at it, because I don't think your bar should be so low. That's all I'm saying. And you do you. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not even telling you I disagree with you. I just wanted to give you a different perspective, because I think a lot of times as survivors of abuse from our caregivers, for me, my mother is a narcissist. She's alive, dead to me. She is a narcissist and a sociopath. We've been taught to tolerate things, and there's levels of tolerance. And I think that all of our tolerance for toxicity should be like buried below our feet, thousands and thousands and thousands of feet down, to the point that it isn't even a thought to tolerate somebody's bad behavior. And being mature enough to respond to somebody who disrespected you, to tell them why. I ask you why. Why is that a good idea? Why does that make you feel good to give something to somebody who didn't deserve your time in the first place? And they demonstrated that through their actions. Now I want to talk about the thing that I discovered or noticed about myself on this date in looking backwards. You know, we can't control how our brains function to a great degree, especially like if I have complex PTSD. And so I have to be very aware of my own tells. And I have different tells when I interact with people. I know that, for example, if I start bobbleheading and people pleasing, there's something going on in there for me that's sticky. Beyond that, there's also, and like if I become the pick-me girl is kind of what I'm saying. Beyond that, there is, the physiology of what's happening when you're on a date, that dopamine hit. So this guy, he's talking to me, like he's talking to who? And he's not looking at anything. There's nobody really passing by where we were at the time. He's just not making eye contact. See how uncomfortable that is? I don't like that at all. Not that I'm making eye contact with you, but the camera is my eye contact, right? The lens is my eye contact. And then he kind of, oh, you're so gorgeous. And then he would make eye contact. Oh, it's like making me feel some kind of way right now. And I'm shaking a little bit from that, actually. Looking back at that, this was a form of trauma bonding. This is like, you're not that important, but I see you now. This was a push and pull, whether he was doing it consciously or subconsciously. It's very telling about how he connects to people or doesn't connect to people. And I didn't catch it. I caught the lack of eye contact, and I actually thought, oh, is he nervous? I was trying to figure it out. So right there, that was my tell. I was trying to figure out where he was coming from and not paying outside in and not paying attention to how it was making me feel and how that was more important than what's happening on the other end. I was looking to find the reason to give him the words that I dislike so much, the benefit of the doubt. That is my red flag to myself. Thank you for the comment that you made, because it made me go back and reflect on the date. And it's given me a new insight for something that will help me cut it quicker. Ghost or not to ghost, it doesn't matter. Disengage and not spend so much time on an individual who I know is damaging me at my core, because he's stimulating things that are related to my own past traumas, because he's familiar and he's that kind of person rather than being somebody who's comfortable. And what I mean by that is, and I want to talk about stimulating my own past traumas. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me and I have these traumas and I can't relate to a person. And, I don't want to open the door for anyone out there going, well, it's your trauma and that's why you felt the way you did. Yes, it is. And no, it's not. My foundational experience being raised by a sociopath and a narcissist in a narcissistic family system gives me an early warning system now, because I pay attention to it when something feels familiar that I am in the wrong place. It would be really easy for me to get sucked into that, especially in my past, because we do the love that we know. And it takes awareness and consciousness not to go down that path, not to become trauma bonded with the money, he talked about all these things, looking to see and try to get me to prove myself. Oh, you're so stunning. Not to get stuck into that, because that's my pattern of abuse that I experienced in childhood. Push, pull, bring you in closer, punch you in the face, push you out again. He was doing this in like milliseconds on this date, and even over more time than that. And I didn't catch it because I was so focused on what he was doing and what it meant. And I lost sight of me. And now I realize, because of other dates that I've had and just relationships that I have with people that make me feel comfortable, I never, and I'm speaking in an absolute, I don't do it that often, I never look for what they mean or where it's coming from in any of the relationships that I currently have, because there's no agenda there for me to look for, because there's no behavior there that is setting me off, making me wonder what's going on, because they're relationships where I feel, mark the words down and live by them, safe, seen, and cherished. So I really thank you for your comment. I got a lot out of it, and I hope that you're going to get something out of my response to you. We don't need to have the bar so low. In fact, it shouldn't be low. The bar should be that we love ourselves first and foremost, genuinely, that we understand we are worthy of showing up for ourselves, that that is the right kind of selfish. There is a healthy selfishness, and then everybody else comes next. And when I say everybody else, the people that are worthy of your time, the ones who treat you like you are worthy. Have a great day, and again, thank you so much for being here.